our last guest that we have.
Yeah.
Never mind. Showtime. Go ahead.
Don't you know that I'm in love with you?
All right, folks. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another exciting week of Uski and Herbie here on StreamYard, and also you can listen to us on Herberton Sports Radio on Webley.com. Big last weekend, a big weekend of ACC football, and I guess it didn't turn out the way it could have been. With Miami getting literally shellacked down in Clemson. After Clemson just basically held them to 9 first downs.
Well, I mean, they beat them handedly, and they had 3 field goals blocked and a fumble. So, the score really wasn't even that indicative. But again, you throw in 2 interceptions by De'Ara King, and that kind of. But I mean, Miami had their chances. I mean, you're talking about the blocked field goal before the half. I mean, you can't go into a halftime with any more momentum, but just couldn't execute down the stretch and turning the ball over. You can't do that against a team like Clemson.
Exactly. Well, I had a chance to talk to Coach Sweeney after the game, and I asked him, "Is this almost like about his defense? Is this almost like a perfect game?" I don't want to use a bowling knowledge or a baseball knowledge, but it's almost like his defense had a perfect game against Miami. Here it is.
Hey,
it's Chris Heidel from Herbie Radio in Baltimore. Congratulations on the win tonight.
Thank you.
Talk about your defense. I want to use a baseball term or a football term. Was this the best game the defense has played, like a perfect game in bowling, or tonight with you guys shutting down a option type quarterback like King who couldn't wreak havoc in the backfield?
Well, no, we didn't play perfect. Brent will be the first one to tell you that. We gave up 10 points. So, because the other one was on me. But we gave up 10 points, gave up a couple big plays there, and just really a tremendous performance, but plenty that we can correct. Plenty that we can correct. But it was what we needed for this game, and really proud of our guys for getting it done.
Talking about, it wasn't a perfect game, but I felt like it was, because if you held somebody to 9 first downs and cut down the option guy to 127 yards total offensive rushing, to me that's the perfect game.
Well, and then you throw in the turnovers as well. But of course, Coach Sweeney is going to point out, what he needs to point out to galvanize his defense to play even more. I don't even think any coach would say it's a perfect game if you let up 1 point. So I noticed that was the first thing that he pointed out. But certainly a spirited. I mean, don't forget, Herbie, one of those interceptions was in the end zone. Mm-hmm. So the momentum shifts in that ball game were so huge. And I just thought, to begin with, we talked last week about, is the moment going to be too big for Miami? And, they dropped some balls, had some penalties, and it wasn't even a full stadium, not even close to being full. Yeah. So, that big game experience, I thought, showed a little bit more at the outset of the game. And then, Miami settled in a little bit, but you could tell Clemson's accustomed to that atmosphere.
Exactly. Well, I come with a polling question. You can go on Herberton, on Twitter, on Herberton, on Twitter. And the polling question is, Euan, talking about, Clemson. Which team in the ACC is the only team you think will beat Clemson this season? The choices are Notre Dame, Pittsburgh, Florida State, or Georgia Tech. So, what do you think?
I think the people who answer the question know about football, because I'm in on Notre Dame as well. I think they know I think those other 3 games, you're looking at least a 3-touchdown underdog, in my opinion.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I think Notre Dame is the only one that could actually could give Clemson a run for their money. And the funny thing is, they can play each other 2 weeks later in the ACC title game, so you can get a nice rematch.
Herbie, where is North Carolina on that list?
That's right. Do they play? They don't play Clemson this year, do they?
Well, they could play them in the national championship game, but you've got to give a little bit of love to Sam Howell and those dynamic receivers putting up, 56? I mean, I know Virginia Tech isn't a defensive juggernaut, but still, 56 is still 56.
Yeah, and that game against Virginia Tech, both teams combined 101 points. That's the most points in the ACC history between 2 ranked squads.
I mean, I'm telling you, this guy, Sam Howell, Dynamic Brown, Carter running the football. I mean, they have a great offensive line, experienced. I mean, the play calling is just unbelievable. I mean, they continue to have defenses off balance. And you know what? Sam Howell throws a beautiful deep ball, Herbie.
Mm-hmm. And my Seminoles will see that this weekend a lot. Yeah.
It's going to be another long Saturday, pal.
Oh, yeah.
You might want to get some, when you stop by the package store, you might want to make a 12-pack.
or go hide in a cave somewhere and come back when Jimbo's available. Yeah.
Oh man.
Oh my God. Well, we're still going to talk about Clemson here because Miami lost to Clemson last Saturday night. I had a chance to talk to Travis Etienne after the game on the Zoom call, and I asked him about the Miami defense. Is that the best defense he's seen, so far, this year or last year? And this is what he had to say.
Running back Travis Etienne.
Hey, Travis.
Hey there, what's up?
Yeah, it's Chris Heidel from Herbie Radio in Baltimore. Let's talk about your playing against the Miami defense tonight. How good are they up front? And you basically found a way to get around all that big people on the front line.
Now, honestly, Miami up front, I mean, the whole defense, they were great. Just the whole game, they was great at pursuing, just fitting their gaps, hard hitters. And their ends are definitely what they made out to be. I mean, they were great. They were up the field the whole game, disrupting plays, and just the only thing they could do. And you could watch the film. They made great plays. We just came out with the win. Just kept fighting, but the ends were definitely had a good game. They definitely disrupt some things.
Travis.
Yep, that's Travis Etienne, who basically broke Tim Tebow's record of I think it was like 49 straight games with a touchdown or something like that. So that's not bad.
I mean, he just had that one explosive run, but he's just a model of consistency. I mean, 17 carries, $150, $149, 2 touchdowns, catching balls out of the backfield, picking up blitzes. There's nothing this guy can't do.
Exactly. I agree. I think he's going to be I think he's going to be a top draft pick. I think Clemson's going to have their first ever 1 versus 2 in the draft this year. With Lawrence going to New York and Travis going to I think who is terrible. Who's terrible?
Which New York team, Herbie?
Oh my God! I forgot the both were 0-5. Yeah. Man, they have the Fighting Joe Flacco's, in New York, and with the Jets right now. Joe Flacco is playing. I'm like, wow, Joe. How you doing? Yeah. So, well, that was last week. A big game in the ACC. Also, yeah. But also, we'll talk to Gary DePolo. Boston College beat Pitt last week in overtime because the Pitt place kicker missed an extra point to go into the second overtime. That must have been a bad trip home after that.
I'm telling you what, you got to tip your hat to the Boston College Eagles. I mean, they played tough, hard-nosed football. Their special teams were good, And of course, our Notre Dame transfer guy, Philip, I believe, gosh,
Nunavix or something like that.
Yeah, he played great. He played great. So, Pittsburgh came into that game as a road favorite, and BC pulls out the big win. I tell you what, I've been impressed with this Eagle team. They are just playing good football right now.
Well, the folks at Herbie Fan Radio was made we didn't have to leave our house last weekend for any of these post-game interviews. We did our short trip to the office, but we did talk to Phil after the game about this big win and what does he have to work on next week to improve.
Hey, Phil, just talking about your first 4 games as quarterback for Boston College. What do you have to work on from now on, starting for next game?
There's a lot. I think it's all the little things in practice and watching film. I don't know if there's anything, if there's just one thing right now. It's everything, and just keep evolving with the offense. So every week just progressing.
Phil, thank you very much for all the questions. We appreciate it.
All right, thank you.
There goes Phil. Phil has left the building. So, Phil Jurkovic, who was Ian Buck's backup last year at this time, taking over Boston College, and they're doing a fantastic job. 3-1 on the year, and they got to go to Virginia Tech on Saturday.
And I like their chances to improve to 4-1. I mean, this sophomore, he's stalling. He's tall in stature. He's durable. He's not afraid to scramble with the football. He's accurate. 6'5", 226, as you said, the transfer from Notre Dame. The biggest takeaway that I had, on 19 completions, he had 358 yards. So he's really pushing the ball down the field, not to mention he didn't have an interception while throwing 3, touchdowns, Herbie. So, we talk about valuing the football and taking care of it. And so far, this Boston College quarterback has done just that.
Exactly. And one last, let's finish up the weekend. Duke went up to Syracuse last Saturday and brought home a win.
Off the snide.
Yeah, off the snide, 1-4, but 300, I think over 332 yards rushing against the Syracuse defense. I think Dino Babers is probably running their team as we speak to get better.
Oh my goodness! It was an absolute clinic. I mean, everybody who touched the football for Duke ran it effectively. And if you can't stop the run, well, hey, Chase Bryce finally getting into the win column. Hey, you know what, Herbie? I've got to tell you, we're not supposed to make things personal, but I'm so happy for our guy, David Cutcliffe up there at Duke. I mean, one of the best guys in college football, and I'm just so happy for him. I hope this starts, a winning streak for the Blue Devils. I mean, Syracuse isn't going to wow anybody, but hey, you know what? When you're winless and you're 0-3 and you need an ACC win, Syracuse is the perfect formula.
Exactly. And I had a chance to talk to Bryce after the game, here at the office, and I asked him, is it great to get the running game established, and that helps him a little bit better getting his passes, because I think when you get the running game established, you can get more play action and everything more comes lights up down the field. So this is what I asked him after the game.
Hey, Chase, congratulations on the big win tonight up there in Syracuse. Having a running back, or you guys rushed for 363 yards on the ground, is that something that you guys were trying to work on this week to get the running game established? Because I know you're the quarterback. You got to get that running game working to get everything else working.
Right. The running game was tremendous tonight. The O-line were moving the pile. They were making holes. Running backs had great vision, and they hit it fast. And when they hit it, they're going to run and break tackles, and I'm just super proud of them. It wasn't an emphasis to run the ball, but in every game we want to be able to run the ball. It just, like you said, opens things up, gets you in a rhythm and a flow, and I thought we did a great job of that tonight.
Yeah, they did a great job up there, and Duke's home, still on the road this week at NC State, so that's going to be an interesting game. Both teams coming off a win, so that's a battle.
Yeah, and you know what? Duke finally has a little bit of momentum, and with that momentum comes a little bit of confidence. I mean, you're Chase Bryce. I'm so glad that he's at the very least, Herb. He's put it in the minds of every team that they play that they can run the football. Even just that notion and seeing the success on film will make the play action a little bit more effective. And sometimes that little hesitation means an extra half a step or a step in everyone else's routes that could potentially make Chase Bryce's job just a little bit easier. So we'll see if the Blue Devils can build upon their first win of the season next week.
Yes. Well, that's our done our trip around the ACC, and next week we'll still do a lot of trips around the ACC this coming weekend. You got Pittsburgh and Miami. You got Clemson taking on Georgia Tech. You got Notre Dame. You got Notre Dame versus Louisville. Yeah, it's basically this weekend is a. I think I don't want to say a soft weekend, but I think Pitt and Miami is the only one I think might be a good game.
Well, Herbie, we talked our whole show last week was on Miami and Clemson. Now we get a chance to see what this Miami team is made out of. How will they bounce back? How will they respond? Will they come out flat? This is also going to be a big challenge for Manny Diaz. Everything built up to that Clemson game, and then you lose like they did. How will they respond?
Yeah, this is a first true test for Miami because losing to Clemson, now you're home against Pittsburgh, and then you got a couple home games before you still could go to a nice bowl game, but you want to go to the ACC title game and get the revenge that you needed.
Yeah, well, we'll see how there's a lot left to be determined, but a lot of football ahead of us, and I just can't wait to see the direction, especially these young players. It's just been really exciting. I know we didn't get a chance to touch on that North Carolina game a lot, but I'm telling you, this looks like an NFL offense in college football.
Yes, exactly. Even my mother said, she was watching the Miami game last week, and she goes, "That Travis, Lawrence kid, he has a good arm." So even my mother, who doesn't really sit down and watch football that much, commented on Travis. She didn't even talk about his hair.
Oh my goodness, that's great. Hey, hats off real quick, Herbie. Hats off to Georgia Tech. Beating Louisville. I did not think. Obviously Louisville turned the ball over. I think they had 3 fumbles, and Georgia Tech, getting a big win for them. Louisville next week, 17-point underdog against Notre Dame. I don't know how they're going to play. Notre Dame certainly had their hands full. We didn't get a chance to talk about, your Seminoles, and quite frankly, it's tough to say a double-digit loss could be a good showing, Herbie, but that's how I felt. They played hard.
Yeah, they did. They did play hard, and they were leading after the first quarter, 17-14, and then I think Notre Dame decided to put the defense decided to put the clamps on it. We'll give that little 3-0 advantage at the end of the first quarter, and we'll just put a little more. We'll just put the clamps on it, and they shut them out in the second quarter. So
absolutely, Herbie. But I wanted to ask you a little bit about that game, Herbie. Did you come? What are some positives you came out of with that game besides obviously what I thought was a good effort?
Well, I think Jordan, Travis, I think he did a good job. His first quarterback gig of first start. I think he's the quarterback. I'm sorry, Blackman. I know you're the senior. We gave you 3.5 years to, try to figure out what you're doing. Get your degree, go to the CFL, go to arena football, whatever you want to do. Because you're not going to be an NFL type quarterback because you're still trying to figure out how to throw the football. That's not Mike Novell doesn't need that. And then we got that young kid who came in against Jackson State. He's just a freshman. He's going to learn. He's going to get some time. Playing some mop up duties at the end of the year. Hopefully, if we could get some wins here. But Travis is a kid from Louisville, and I think he's going to be a good. He brings that option that we needed, and I think that could work.
Well, you know what, Herb? Honestly, it's great to just see kind of a this is a big moment for Florida State. It's a changing of the guard, and you know what? Like I said, I thought they competed. They had a lead at one point. The second half, they were limited to 6 points, but still, I mean, you've come a little bit of ways, and quite frankly, Herbie, and you mentioned Blackman. I mean, it's time to get off that ship completely. Jump. Whether there's a life raft, and if you go down with somebody new, go down with someone who has some experience, who could use the experience, so for me, it's a welcome change at quarterback.
Exactly. It's 8:21 here on the program. We're waiting for Mike Severe. He covers Nebraska Cornhuskers. He's running a little behind. I think he probably forgot. I don't know. Well, we'll figure out how we get a hold of him. But what do you think about the Big Ten starting back up? You got 8 games, and it's basically do or die for 8 games there, Euan.
Well, I love it. Are you kidding me? I mean, what's there not to love? I mean, gosh, more football, and I mean, I'm just so excited about seeing the Buckeyes play, all the other Big Ten schools. This is what it's all about, Herbie. I mean, hey, for the first time, we're going to have all 5 major conferences playing on a Saturday, and quite frankly, that's the way it should be.
Yeah, I totally agree. It's great. We got everybody back, and the college. I think what's your opinion on the college football playoff? Should they not have it this year? Because you got different conferences playing like 5 games, another conference playing 8 games. What do you think what's your take on the college football playoff? Should they just say we'll do it next year, or because you can't really get a true champion?
Every other sport's going to have a true champion. College football will have a true champion. And let's not forget, Herbie, let's not forget about the TV contracts, revenue sharing. This is why college football is the most popular sport, even more popular than the NFL. I mean, we are absolutely going to have – I can't tell you how many fans will be there, but it probably depends on, what teams are playing. I hate to say that, but Herbie, I really feel like college football, the NFL is doing a great job, and college football is too. We will have a champion. We will have a college football playoff. We'll just have a smaller body of work to analyze to decide what 4 teams make it.
Yeah, exactly. And, gosh, I would say, everybody else is playing a true champion. Congratulations to the Lakers, their 17th title. I didn't know they had 17 titles. That's a lot.
Yeah, are you kidding me? The Lakers are. I didn't know it was 17 either.
Hey, I love the '80s Lakers when they were battling the Boston Celtics and all that stuff for the title. It was always on around Easter time or something like that on CBS. And you got Larry and you got Magic and you got Hakeem Abdul-Jabbar, and that's good basketball.
No, absolutely. Hey, Herbie, for our listeners, run down our 2 guests that were coming on in the times.
All right. Well, we're trying to we just sent an email out to Mike Severe. He should be joining us. Hopefully, you got the email. Coming up at 8:35, we got Edgar Thompson, who covers the Gators down there for the Orlando Sentinel. Gators at LSU playing a big game. That game got moved to 4:00. It's not 3:30. It's 4:00 now on Saturday. I don't know why the extra half an hour.
Yeah, I saw that, Herbie, and Florida coming off a very emotional, disappointing loss in the final seconds, Herbie. So we'll see how they bounce back. But, gosh, the LSU Tigers, Herbie, what in the world is going on with that defense?
Yeah, that defense is Swiss cheese, with the most points given up in the last three games. And Ojuan is he wants to dumbfound the defense down to, so people can learn it better. But you have all your players went to the NFL, so what do you expect? You're building a new defense. It's going to take a couple games. Plus, you didn't have an off season. You didn't have spring football, so come on.
The natives are getting restless in Baton Rouge. They're spoiled, Herbie. What can I tell you? I mean, the crawfish doesn't taste as good. The jambalaya doesn't taste as good. The crawfish etouffee doesn't taste so good when LSU's losing. Well, thank goodness the Saints won and came back and beat the Chargers, because then you can't even stomach eating anything. I mean, that's the way it is down in the bayou.
I know. Hey, they take their football seriously down there.
No question about it, Herbie. Herbie, let me ask you this. LSU, I mean, offensively, what are your impressions of Miles Brennan?
Well, I guess I think he has big shoes to fill. You're taking over the quarterback position that Joe Burrow, who basically was there for 2 years. First year, Joe was like, really not that great, and then they brought in a good offensive coordinator to bring him to win a Heisman Trophy, and now that guy is gone, and I think Joe Burrow has him in Cincinnati, right?
Oh man, I tell you, Herbie, I mean, the kid has got a good arm. I feel like he's just kind of coming into his own in the offense. But as you said, I mean, some of these teams have to play their way into, game shape, into getting onto the same page because of the lack of time spent together like they would normally have. So I think there is something to be said about, LSU's young defense. At the same time, I mean, gosh, missed tackles is not because of scheme,
Right.
I mean, blown coverages, yes, but this I don't think I've ever seen LSU miss as many tackles as they have, in the last couple of weeks. It's just been crazy.
Yeah, exactly. I have a question to ask you. We're going to ask Edgar Thompson at 8:35 this question. Did you hear about Coach Dan Mullins from Florida wants the entire stadium to be packed on Saturday against LSU because he thinks the crowd noise affected him at Texas A&M. Do you think that's a good idea with all this pandemic going around, like 90,000 people, or okay, go ahead and try it, because I know the governor of Florida said go ahead.
Well, I would absolutely be all for half of the stadium being filled. That honestly, Herbie, I mean, look, the death rate for kids that age is like, the survival rate's 99.8%. I don't, we don't get political on this show, but you're asking me a straight up question. I'm giving you a straight up answer. I think there should be fans in the stands. There's fans in the stands at college football games not even wearing masks that I've seen over the weekend. So does it all depend on what state you live in? I don't know, Herbie. I can't really. That's just my initial thoughts. And you know what? I don't blame them. I mean, gosh, backed up in your own end, or back when the other team has the ball, especially in the swamp. Oh my goodness, the advantage for the defense is unspeakable. I mean, that's what makes road games and home games so much, not only so much fun, but you have that advantage. I mean, that's what college football is about.
Mm-hmm. I agree. What do you think about, we had a sad day, a sad thing happened yesterday. I know everybody was happy with the Lakers winning, but a driving force for the big red machine, Joe Morgan, passed away, who used to do a lot of stuff on ESPN and broadcast with Joe Angel and all that stuff. What's your take on that? He was the driving force of the big red machine.
I tell you what, a class act, great player, great broadcaster. Man, I used to love Sunday Night Baseball. He's just a phenomenal. My father and I used to watch Sunday Night Baseball. We'd always say, Joe Morgan and his partner, which escapes me.
Joe Angel. And I know it was Miller. John Miller.
John Miller, yeah. John Miller and Joe Morgan. I mean, those were just the insightfulness and the articulation of his, knowledge was just awesome. And, he had fun with the broadcast too. So just revered around the sports world and just a class act is my take, Herbie. What about yours?
Yeah, I think he was a very good, he was a kid that came out in like a small. He lived in Oakland. Didn't have enough to play. He just played baseball, and he went to the Colt 45s, and he got his big break when the Astros traded him to Cincinnati, and he was like happy that he went to Cincinnati because he was part of the Big Red Machine, and and that batting stance he had with bringing the elbow down and different levels, that was good. If you're a father who wants to teach your kid baseball, that's some of the batting stance you want to teach them.
I mean, he was always fundamentally sound and just like I said, a great player. But I really enjoyed him after he played. I enjoyed him in the broadcast booth.
Yeah.
Just a very successful broadcaster, and I wish I could have interviewed him of all the players. Just a class act all the way.
Yeah, him and John Miller. I got a raw deal when they got kicked off of Sunday Night Baseball because they were Sunday Night Baseball on ESPN. It was John Miller, with his funny wit, and then you had Joe Morgan who taught you the game while he's in the booth.
They were a formidable tandem in terms of broadcasting. By the way, Herbie, I mean, while we're talking about baseball, who's going to make it into the World Series and who's going to win it all? This is something we really haven't touched on, Herbie. I've been so impressed with that Atlanta Brave pitching staff. Unbelievable.
Yeah, I think the Braves are going to be that team will be in the World Series. I think the Dodgers, they've been there the last 4 years in the NLCS, and they get to the World Series and they choke. I feel like the Braves they want to get there. They want to be in the World Series, and they got that pitching, and they got Friedman, and they got Nick Markakis, who used to play here in Baltimore, who did a fantastic job in right field, with the Orioles. And he's, I think if the Braves went to the World Series and they win it, I think Nick Markakis is going to retire because he did something for his hometown.
Wow, talk about storybook, huh?
Yeah. Like it's a good way to walk away because he was not going to play in these 60 games. He opted out because he thought it was was not going to be great for 60 games, and he was afraid of the COVID. And I think 2 weeks into this 60-game season, he was like, his wife wanted him to go to get out of the house. It's like you're going to be playing. Go play with your kids. So you go play with. Yeah.
Hey, how about those Tampa Bay Devil Rays? I mean, goodness gracious, Herbie. They had a great Game 5 with the Yankees, and now they're continuing to play. I mean, we could be looking at a Braves Devil Rays World Series.
Yeah, and I know that everybody's going to go, oh, they only played 60 games, and it's not a full season. But I think the Rays are built for a 60-game season.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's, I'm sorry, 82. How many games is it? 82 games this season. 82 games. That's a grind. That's like you're there from February until if your team makes it to the postseason, and if your body's takes a lot of hits. People hit them. It's. I think they should play 60 games. Forget 182, 82 games. We don't need that. 163 games. We don't need that. Come on. Cut it down to 100 games and enjoy it,
You're right about that because they have such a great 1-2 punch pitching, the Devil Rays, and they're crafty. So I mean, the Dodgers were a heavy favorite coming into the World Series, the playoffs. But I mean, gosh, that Atlanta Brave and Acuna is playing good baseball right now. I mean, that Braves defense is playing well, and they're just coming up with timely hits. And if you can get a couple of big 2-out hits, it just galvanizes your club. And there's really no limit to where this Braves team can go.
Exactly. Yeah, I agree. And I think the Braves, and they're playing. And I guess the National League, they're letting fans in there. They had fans in the new Texas Rangers ballpark last night to watch the game. That's not bad.
Yeah, no, that's really cool.
Yeah, it's really cool as anything. So. We'll give you some halftime update here with the Tennessee Titans and the Bills. We're still waiting for Egger to join us in a couple minutes. Tennessee's up 21-10 at the half over the Bills, and That's really shocking because I'm thinking, with all the stuff that the Titans had to go through with the COVID and not having their practice facility and a couple of knuckleheads, couple
Well,
knuckleheads.
let me just give our viewers a little bit of an update on Buffalo's first drive. Josh Allen threw an interception that was intended. That really was a very good throw. Andre Edwards had the ball go off his hands, and Malcolm Butler returned it to the Buffalo 25. 2 plays later, Tannehill hits Brown for a 16-yard touchdown pass, and that put the Titans up 7-0. Tannehill just rushed in from a second and goal. I believe it was from the 7-yard line. That gave him the 11-point lead. But you'll see this on halftime. Derrick Henry was running a sweep outside and absolutely threw down Josh Norman.
Wow.
Like it was nothing, Herb. You've got to check this out. I mean, I would even break to see if you can get this on our program somehow. I mean, absolutely, it's going to be on all the highlights. Josh,
I'm opening it right now. He's having the halftime. He took that one hand and just went, yeah, be gone. Jeez. And Derrick Henry used to be, when he was in Alabama, he wasn't really like a power runner. Did he win the Heisman? I think he did.
Oh yeah, Derrick Henry. Oh yeah, he's a trophy winner.
Yeah. So I think he's a good running back, and that's why Baltimore had a hard time with him last year in the playoffs. You can just go right up the middle and smash mouth and get you done. Get it done. Yeah.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, if Jerry comes on tonight, we'll be talking a little bit Pitt football. You mentioned earlier in the show they went on the road to Chestnut Hill and weren't able to close out a real stingy, tough Boston College team. And then let's see what Pitt has, if they can bounce back. We love Pat Narduzzi. We got to have Pat on our show. An awesome guy, great enthusiasm, and just fantastic, energy. So let's see what they can do to come up and bounce back. They've got to bounce back, Herbie.
Exactly, they should. They got to, losing by a point, missing an extra point. That's like, I feel bad for the kicker. What's this? Yeah. I have that clip. You want to look at it?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, let's go.
Kessman to tie it, and he misses it. My goodness! Kessman hit a 58-yard field goal at the end of regulation to send it into overtime, and he missed the extra point in the extra session. Very happy, and you see the ending of the game.
I've been there. I'm not a place kicker, but watching Florida State, yeah, it's not fun. Well, we got Mike here, Mike Severe joining us. He just logged in. Let's get him on the air here. Hi, Mike. How you doing?
How you doing? Sorry, I apologize. We're not supposed to have Tuesday night football. I lose my mind when the NFL's on. Apparently, I forget everything.
I forget about it too. I think there's a Tuesday night game tonight because I'm still working on fantasy football.
I know. Yeah. I got 3 leagues still being decided tonight. It's ridiculous.
Well, Mike, thanks for taking some time tonight. You're out there in Omaha, Nebraska. What's the mood like for Nebraska football?
Anxious, nervous. Some people are scared. It's just weird because everybody else is playing football outside the Pac-12, and we all watch games on Saturday, and have Nebraska football going on, and we're not going to have any fans in the stands, and so people are upset about that. It's just the weirdest. I've never experienced anything like this. I've been here since 2002 covering Nebraska football, and I've never experienced anything like this. It's so weird feeling. People are excited that it's coming, but they just are really anxious about what the season is going to be like.
Hey, Euan, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me? Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I sure am, Mike. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm just excited to get every major conference back on the field, which it should have been in the beginning, but we'll save the politics for later. But when you look at this Cornhusker team, it all starts and begins with Martinez. He had an up and down season last year. I look at the 9 interceptions. I look at his full threat, over 600 yards, 7 TDs rushing. What, in your estimation, does he have to do better, improve upon more to bring Nebraska sort of to, the Ohio State level, but certainly into national prominence?
Well, the big part is just staying healthy. This is a guy who hasn't had a normal offseason since his junior year of high school. He tore up his shoulder. He had a labrum surgery, missed the entire senior year of high school. He comes to Nebraska. His second game playing in Nebraska, he injured his knee. He's banged up all off season. Then last year, he had a shoulder. He had an ankle. So he was injured most of the year last year, and so he was playing through injuries. He lost his best wide receiver. He lost one of his better running backs in the middle of the season. The second best running back on the team just decided that he was going to kind of flake out, so he was no longer around. There were so many things that happened in that offense last year, and there were so many issues. Yes, Adrian Martinez didn't play his best football. I think a big reason was that because he was injured, but there were so many other things going on around him that were of issue. They changed the wide receiver coach, so I think that's a better thing. I think they have a better technical coach in there. They have more depth at wide receiver. They have more depth at running back. This is the best offensive line they've had. We've argued this through people who cover the team. It's either 2006 or 2010. It's been a long time since they had this kind of depth at offensive line. And so I think with the offensive line playing better, having more depth at wide receiver, but not experienced depth, and then having better running backs, I think that'll alleviate some of the stuff of Martinez. And he's in the middle of a quarterback battle. Luke McCaffrey is his backup. And you talk to any of the coaches, Scott Frost spoke today, and he said they're still battling. It's still a battle for number one. And we won't know until the week of the Ohio State game who actually is QB1.
Yeah. Well, Mike, how close was Nebraska to go back to the Big 12?
No.
How close?
No, zero. Not even close to being. I don't know. Chris, is it Evan?
You win, Mike.
Ewan, I'm sorry. Either one of you guys divorced?
No.
Okay.
We're not even married.
Okay. Well, picture yourself getting married, then picture yourself getting divorced, and then deciding about 10 years after you got divorced to go, you know what would be fun? Let's go back to my wife. How about that? That's what it would have been for Nebraska. They hated the Big 12. They hated Texas. They make $52 million a year being in the Big 10. Plus, you have the research dollars. Plus, you have just in terms of the academics, you're talking about a school in Nebraska that was about top 100 academically before getting in the Big 10. And since being in the Big 10, they've dropped into the 60s because it's just a more academic, prestigious conference. Because of all those reasons, they were never leaving the Big 10. And they never said they were leaving the Big 10. All they said was the exact same thing that Ohio State said. If we don't have a season, let us go make our own schedule. That was the only thing they said.
Yeah, what's wrong with making your own schedule? It's like a lot of BYU had to make their own schedule.
Mm-hmm. In 1918, Nebraska did it. During the Spanish flu, the then Missouri Valley Conference they were in back then did not have a schedule. And so Nebraska went out during the Spanish flu, during World War I, and made their own schedule. Scheduled 6 games, 2 with military bases. They played Notre Dame to a tie. They played a bunch of other teams that they brought in or they went to see. And they put together a schedule. And so they were saying, you know what? All these years later, different pandemic, let us put our schedule together. But now that we have a Big 10 schedule and everything's going, everybody should be happy. Although Nebraska is getting a little bit of a punishment when you look at the way the schedule is set up with having Ohio State 1, and then, of course, having the Wisconsin game, and then going to Northwestern, a place that they've actually had some troubles, and then Penn State. That's a tough first 4. Probably one of the toughest first 4s you're going to find outside of some of the SEC schedules.
Hey, Mike, I'm a former offensive lineman. You were turning the whole unit. Obviously, last year you have a ton of underclassmen. If there's a unit that really needs cohesiveness, it's a unit on the offensive line. How do you think they're going to match up? Obviously, we know limited information, and we haven't seen any football on both ends, but your preliminary thoughts on whether or not Nebraska is going to be able to have success on the ground with you on Saturday against the Buckeyes?
I think they'll run the ball. I think they'll run the ball successfully when Adrian Martinez is healthy, or whoever the quarterback is healthy. They're going to run the ball in this system because of the fact that you have the extra threat of the running quarterback, along with the way they run outside zone. They're going to get yards running the ball. Now, this offensive line, Brendan Hymus on the left tackle spot is started more than 35 games. On the right tackle spot, they've got a new guy starting, but their old right tackle moved to right guard. He's got over 30 starts. The center started every game last year, and the left guard started, I think, 28 straight games. So they've got almost, I think it was either 91 or 90 starts on that offensive line. And again, it's very experienced. They think they're going to be better because they think they have a better right tackle. They have a redshirt freshman who is in there, Bryce Benhart, who's the right tackle now. They think he's going to be better than what they had last year. I think they feel pretty comfortable they'll run the ball. And then on top of all of that, again, if Adrian Martinez or Luke McCaffrey, whoever the quarterback is, they average about 100 attempts at the quarterback position going all the way back to Oregon when Scott Frost was there. And so they're going to run the quarterback, and running the quarterback the way they do will help those running backs get yards as well.
Exactly. Folks, we're here with Mike Severe, who does our morning show out there in Omaha, Nebraska, called Severe and Benning in the Morning on 1600 The Zone. So let's talk about your morning show. You guys wild like everybody else is in the morning?
I wouldn't say we're wild. It's unique. Damon is a former Husker. He was an I-back in the 90s, won 2 national championships in 94, 95. He's also a longtime high school coach in the area. His son is one of the best 9th grade players in the state. So we talk a lot of youth sports. That's a big thing that's for him. We talk about, obviously, a lot of NFL and a lot of college football. But we talk a lot of food. We talk entertainment. You know, we have fun. I wouldn't call us wacky, but we have a good time. Yeah, we're 6 to 10 in the morning here on 1620 The Zone, and it's a fun 6 to 6 p.m. We've got 3 full shows that all are pretty entertaining, and guys have a pretty good time.
Exactly. Well, you and I have a lot of fun on Tuesday. We have a good time. We have fun. We talk about food. You and I talk about food. We talk about everything. We're gonna put on an RV and go somewhere for the whole year.
Look, man, my dream in life since I was a little kid is to buy an RV and drive around the country, mainly to go to festivals. I'm a food guy. I want to go to every festival in this country and spend about a week there just eating. That's my goal in life.
Love that, Mike.
Not an offensive lineman, but when I'm done, I'll look like an offensive lineman.
Yeah, I'm almost there. Well, Mike, thanks for coming on. I know we're watching Tuesday Night Football. And
yeah, sorry about that. Sorry, I completely spaced since I saw your email.
I forgot the COVID bowl was on tonight. So, yeah. Yeah, so have a great time. Thank you for coming on. We'll get you on during the Big Ten season.
Sounds great. Thanks, guys.
All right. That's Mike Severe, who works for out there in Omaha, Nebraska. Not bad for him to talk a little Nebraska football. We'll get him on during the season. Let's bring in our good friend Jerry DePola, who does everything there in Pittsburgh, covering the Pirates and the Panthers and sometimes the Steelers. So Jerry, hello. How's everything up there?
How you doing, Chris? I'm sitting here watching a replay of the Pitt Boston College game, and I think they're still going to lose.
Hey, you can be are you a gambler?
Oh, no, I don't have enough money for that. Or
you should play with somebody. Go, oh, I bet you on this one. Yeah. Yeah. We had a tough game last week against Boston College. First of all, it's how's Pickett doing? Because I know he got banged up in that game. Is he all set for Miami?
I don't know that he's all set. We talked to Pat Narduzzi yesterday, and Pat, sounded encouraged because he saw Pickett on Sunday, and he said to us that Pickett looked better than he thought he would look. But he also didn't say he's going to play or not. He did say he's banged up, and he hurt an ankle. There was some rumors that it was worse than it is on some of the message boards, but according to what Narduzzi said, he hasn't ruled him out of playing against Miami. Of course, like I wrote in the paper today, he hasn't ruled him in either. So it's something. It's going to depend on how he practices today, and then tomorrow and Thursday.
JD, good to see you. Greetings from Charlotte, North Carolina, buddy.
North Carolina's my favorite state of the union next to Pennsylvania. Wish I was there.
Good stuff. I wanted to ask you, it wasn't just the loss last week. It was kind of the roller coaster in which it happened of emotions. Certainly the field goal sent it in overtime, and then the missed extra point. Talk about the importance of getting off to a good start against the Canes, just mentally for this team.
Yeah, I think they talk about not losing any confidence, about how not letting last week's game bleed into this week's game, and then it turned into another loss because of it. They have to get their offense started quickly against Miami because they're going to have to score some points. Last year, they played Miami up at Heinz Field, couldn't even score a touchdown, ended up losing 16-12 because they gave up a touchdown pass late. The Pitt's defense played very well in that game against Miami. Now, Miami's a much, much better team this year with the Derrick King at quarterback. And Pitt's going to have to score on offense to beat them and get their running game going. But the thing people don't understand about Pitt, and maybe I'm a little bit down on them because I watched them so much and there was so much hype about the defense in preseason, but their defense now has given up close to 700 yards in the last 2 games, NC State and Boston College. 2 quarterbacks, Devin Leary and Phil Jerkovic, who aren't the best quarterbacks in the ACC. They're still pretty good, but Pitt couldn't stop them. Now, Pitt was able to put a decent pass rush on them, but in the secondary, their quarterbacks were getting beat. This team, people talk about Jalen Twyman, the preseason All-American defensive tackle, up to not end up playing this year. A bigger loss, or equally important loss, is Damari Mathis, senior cornerback, who has been hurt and been out since the start of training camp, and he's out for the season. When you lose a starting cornerback who's been around for 2 or 3 years, it's hard to replace him. They replaced him with a sophomore, Marquise Williams, who's a tough little kid, 5'8" or 5'9". When you put him up against some of those big receivers you see in the ACC, it's very difficult for a young, inexperienced cornerback to thrive in a situation like that. And Pitt's defense, at least in the last 2 games, was pretty good to start the season when they were 3-0, and they didn't really play anybody. But in the last 2 games, the defense has really let them down.
Exactly. I was watching the NC State game a couple weeks ago, and that game kept going back and forth. That was a good game up there in Heinz Field, and then going to Boston College and trying to come back in the fourth quarter, and they got back. They tied the game on a field goal, and then Alex, who's always been perfect for you guys, missed the extra point. What happened on that one?
Well, Alex Kessman, is a good kicker, but he's not a very consistent kicker. He missed his first 3 field goals this year, early in the season. He made his next 3, and then he talked about after the Louisville game about how he consulted with a sports psychologist and did a little bit of yoga to try to get his mind right. And he did well for a while, but he missed 2 long field goals at Boston College. And then he hit the 58-yard field goal to send the game into overtime. The school record, 58 yards. Then the funny thing is, Pitt scores a touchdown in overtime. Looks like it's going to go into a second overtime. Even Jeff Halfley, the Boston College coach, said he wasn't even watching the extra point. He was getting ready to get his defense set up for the second overtime. He looks up, and the extra point goes wide right, and Pitt loses the game. Kessman usually makes his extra points, but his field goals, sometimes he's about 60-40 on field goals, and that's not good enough.
JD, I was surprised when I looked at the passing. Kenny Pickett leads the country in passing yards, but meanwhile, when I watch Pitt, I think that they have, a balanced attack. What do you think their strategy is going against a Miami defense? Well, obviously, Clemson's offense can expose a lot of things. What do you think the game is going into this? Do they change anything? Are they more aggressive? Do we expect the trick plays?
Well, I think that first of all, before we put Kenny Pickett up on Mount Rushmore, he leads the NCAA in passing yards, but he also played more games than anybody else. Pitt's been very, very good and very, very in their COVID protocols, and they've played all 5 games. A lot of schools around the country, some haven't played any. Some have played 3 or 4. Pitt's played 5, so he's thrown for more yards than anybody else because he's played more games than most anybody else. But Pitt's strategy on offense, it should be to get a more balanced attack, get that running game going. Vincent Davis had a couple of nice runs against Boston College, but only a couple. You got to be more consistent in the running game. I don't think they have a lot of faith in their running game right now, and that's bad because now you got Pickett, playing. If he plays at all, he's going to play on a gimpy ankle, and so he's not going to be able to throw the ball 40 times like he's been doing the last 3 weeks. They're going to have to get something out of Vincent Davis. And Israel Abanaconda, freshman from New York City, showed some promise in spring ball, showed some promise a little bit in training camp. Hasn't played a whole lot. He sort of touchdown in the BC game on a pass, actually. But they got to get more consistency, more production out of the running game. They made a change in the offensive line at the Boston College game, moving their all-ACC center, Jimmy Morrissey, to right guard and putting the backup Owen Drexel in at center. They just try to get maybe their best best 5 offensive linemen on the field. But they got to get Vincent Davis going. Vincent Davis has a lot of ability. He's got a kind of a squirmer. He's hard to bring down, but it hasn't been many holes for him to run through so far this year.
That's true. Yeah, and I gotta say, I gotta applaud Pitt with their COVID thing. 5 games, and everybody else is playing 2 or 3, and they're doing. You guys do a great job up there keeping everybody healthy.
Yeah, the last 3 games they had 0 number of COVID-19 absences because they make the announcement before every game how many guys are missing because of COVID-19, and they had 7 for the first game, 3 for the second game, and 0 for the next 3, which is pretty good. Now they're going on. They went on the road last week. Now we'll see how that goes because they were home for the first 4 games of the season. Now they play a road game at Boston College, and when you go on the road, sometimes it's tougher to keep everybody safe and healthy. So we'll see what happens this weekend. How many guys have to miss the game?
Yeah, well, you're going down to Miami. That's where the hotbed is. Florida. Go down to or West Virginia. West Virginia had a problem with Baylor. Baylor's getting a little out of whack with COVID.
Yeah, there's been several schools in Florida today that announced that they had a bunch of guys pausing practice because they had a bunch of guys test positive. Pitt hasn't had any in the last 3 weeks, but now they went on the road and they stayed in a hotel in Boston. We'll see what happens this week.
That's cool. Well, Jerry, thanks so much for coming on, and enjoy football this weekend. Hopefully there's going to be a great game between Pitt and Miami, and it's going to be a great weekend of football.
It's an important stretch for Pitt. They got Miami, and then they got Notre Dame next week. So it's not going to be.
No, that's going to be tough. But it's going to. Hey, that's what they play the games, right?
That's right. That's what signed.
Thanks for coming on.
Guys. Thank you very much. Have a good evening.
You too. All right, that's our good friend Jerry Apola. We'll get Edgar Thompson on next week. He ran into some. They're having an issue down there in Florida with the COVID. He will, with the Gators. We just found out from Jerry. So he just texted me, and we'll get him on next Tuesday. Real quick, Euan, we got to send a happy anniversary out to some coach that we know pretty well. This guy named, have you heard of this guy, Dabo Sweeney?
Love the guy.
Yeah, today is on this date in 2010. He was named interim head coach of Clemson on this date.
Wow! Hey, happy anniversary!
Yeah, 12 years of coach at Clemson, and he was like, he didn't even think he was going to survive the interim tag. He thought he was going to be gone after the season's over. So, good pick by Clemson. You never know.
Yeah, it's really going to be. We're going to find out a lot about ACC teams. I mean, we talked about how Pitt lost. We talked about how Miami lost. How will these teams react? This is the true. I think sometimes, Herb, we can take a lot more from how teams rebound and their mental toughness than we can from, any kind of adverse situations that they overcome in games. So let's see how these teams bounce back. So it'll be an interesting week, as it always is in college football. Great to have the Big Ten back, though. I'll tell you, it's going to be great to see the Buckeyes and the Cornhuskers get it on from the horseshoe.
Yeah, from the horseshoe. Well, we're going to get some more Big Ten on because they're going to start next week. So we'll get some Big Ten football. Plus, we'll continue covering our ACC stuff. Some games. We'll have some post-game reactions from Boston College. Wake Forest, they're playing against Virginia. So that's going to be an interesting game. We'll get some other, as well. And then it's going to be fun. Yeah, we'll see this weekend. We'll see who you'll see the standings. You'll see who's at the top and who's at the bottom. I think it's a separation Saturday. I think that's.
I love it, Herbie. Well, great show. We'll make sure we don't do the show on a night where there's NFL and on.
Hey, when I did this planning, I didn't think they were going to have COVID bowl on Tuesday night. Okay.
No, absolutely, 100%, pal. But we'll adjust. So
yeah,
we'll see what happens. Great, another great week of ACC football. Another great week to come.
Yeah, and I know real quick. I got to tell you, I know you're a big bowler. Your average is what, 100? Yeah.
95.
Yeah. So our good friends at the PBA, they're on this Saturday at 6:00 right on Fox, the PBA playoffs, and I had some of them on last week on Friday night, and it was was good conversation with Kyle Troop and the big guy with the afro. Yeah, not bad. Yeah.
Go get him. What's your average bowling?
Well, when I was in the league, I had I think I had a 175. I think I did once. Yeah, but I haven't bowled in the league in so long. It's probably I have to. I told my brother, like, if you want to do a league, I got to practice first because I'm like Roger Clemens. I got to go through A ball. I got to go through double A ball. I got I got to go through triple A. I can't just play on the circuit without practicing. Yeah. So.
I mean, hey, I love it, Herbie. I love it that you love it, buddies. But hey, we'll see. What night are we doing our show next week, Herb?
I think we should stick to Tuesday.
All right. There's NFL games next Tuesday?
I don't think so. We have Bills and Chiefs on Monday night, along with the Cowboys and Cardinals. But I think we should be fine on Tuesday night. But if they have any issues, we will let you guys know. We'll have Tuesday night or Wednesday night. It's all we'll just have those 2 days just open, just in case.
You got it, Herbie.
All right, folks. Real quick, folks, before we get off the air, make sure you go to our Twitter page and vote who's going to be who has the better shot knocking off Clemson. What's the Clemson schedule they have? Notre Dame, Georgia Tech, Florida State, or Pitt. So go to our page at Herb FM and vote right now. So thanks for joining us, folks. I'm going to have some dinner. Yeah, I know Euan's hungry. We're going to have dinner as well. We'll see you all next Tuesday or Wednesday. Keep us. We'll keep you updated what's going on, and have a pleasant evening, everybody.
Sayonara.
Sayonara.
Dreamed of being in a Huey Lewis in the News music video since I was a teen. I'm 22 free. Got soul. Got a lot of heart. Knows how to make the plans fall apart. I ain't with half the man I used to be. Alive instead of me. Moving on like a flashing light. First thing in the morning and the last thing at night.